All right, welcome, pal. We're live.
Are you sure we're live? Because my fucking
I-
screen just says off air all over the place. Oh, there it is, live. Now I feel. Now,
what a way to start the first
I
YouTube
feel.
live.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's a tough open. That's a tough open. Oh, what? Okay.
It's a cold open in the business. That's a cold open.
I don't know.
That's
I think that the kids call that a hot take in the street.
well, the good news is there's 0 viewers right now live for watching us. So no one's really paying attention. You know what I mean?
Good. Maybe they could just fast forward the first incredibly obnoxious f-bomb that I dropped 5 seconds into our new podcast. Anyway, here's what we're doing. We're doing Google Hangouts here, Stallion. You're in one place, I'm in another place, and we're still getting content out for the all night long wrestling podcast because people are saying it's easier. YouTube's easier. It's easy to go YouTube live, and sure enough, it is, buddy. It is.
Well, it's something. It only took us maybe like 45 minutes. So, I mean, that's probably better than most times we've tried to attempt a new version of the podcast.
Yeah. Is there any feedback on my end? Because I kind of feel like I sound like a douche.
No feedback here, buddy. Everything is coming through loud and clear.
All right, good. Well, listen, let's get right to it because inevitably this thing is going to crash, right? That's just how at some point it's going to crash.
It's a matter of time, really.
Yeah.
So we may as well just dive right into it, like you said.
Let's get it right out of the way. We're going to start talking about Final Battle last night, Ring of Honor's Final Battle 2017, and then we're going to give our predictions for tomorrow night's Clash of a Champion on the old on channel 14 on pay-per-view. So let's start. We'll quickly go over Final Battle last night. I thought as a whole, it started off hot, had some heat in the beginning, and I thought it fizzled out towards the end. Pal, what do you think?
Yeah, I think after we watched it, and then I read a couple of reviews, when I got home and this morning. If you compare it to the recent final battles, we've gone to 2 out of the last 3 prior to last night. I just think that it didn't have as much buzz going in, and like you said, the overall like heat and intensity for a lot of the matches just wasn't there. I think, as in terms of comparing it to years past final battles. There were a couple of good matches. I know that it opened up with Taven and Ospreay. I thought the crowd was very into that. It was a good match. I thought that Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll probably had the best match on the show. But there was a couple of lackluster matches, or at least matches that maybe didn't live up to expectations. And I think, the Young Bucks weren't necessarily, they were in the semi-main event, but they weren't, I wouldn't say, in a highly featured match on the card, even though they were in the semi-main spot. So I think it was lacking a little bit of spark and a little bit of fire. So it wasn't a bad show, but I think it just was kind of missing something.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, like you said, it opened hot. It opened with Ospreay and Matt Taven. Ospreay came out, doing all kinds of dives, and that was, I think, honestly, the perfect way to get the show started. The crowd was hot. The crowd was fierce, and Will Ospreay seems to be their perennial opener. After that, I mean, War Machine versus Daniel Kazarian was a what do you think? A perfectly serviceable match? Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't a classic or anything. I thought they did some cool stuff in there, but I don't know. I guess the War Machine win. I don't really know where either of these teams goes. Although other than coming out later on in the show and messing up with the Young Bucks, right, and kind of maybe putting them into position for a 6-man tag title shot with Scorpio Sky. But other than that, I just don't know what the next step is for War Machine and where they would go from here.
Yeah, neither do I. Maybe WWE, who knows? I think, honestly, the worst match of the card was the TV title 4-man. And then to me, that was a tipping point. Like, it was a pretty decent card up until then, but then that match really, it like deflated the entire crowd. I didn't enjoy that at all, which is, although, I mean, I'm glad Silas won. I think that's something you and I talked about beforehand. Silas Young was due for a singles title, but I think the way they went about it was pretty lackluster, to say the least.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I'm definitely glad that Silas won. He's been there for a few years now, and he probably deserves the opportunity. But yeah, the match itself was a little bit, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing, I guess. And Kenny King getting pinned like second out of the three eliminations that would occur. I mean, it's a bad thing. It's fine, but it was just a little bit weird. But I'm glad for Silas that he won. But yeah, it was a little bit lackluster. And of the Hung Bucks match, versus Flip Gordon, Dragon Lee, and Teton, I believe. What did you think of that one?
Uh, uh, Underwhelming is another word I would use. I hate to keep using it, but I mean, you expect. I for one, kind of, I was looking for like one of the like a 6-man PWG match. Like the Young Bucks had so many with Ray Phoenix and Horace and Ricochet and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think we got that in this match. It was a decent match. It wasn't the complete like spot fest that we're kind of used to in these 6-man tags. And I thought it was slightly above average, but I had higher expectations for it, so maybe I'm a little skewed.
No, I think that's how I felt about it also. I think the Young Bucks have set the bar so high for themselves with their performances and their matches, especially on pay-per-views, that not that this match was bad at all, because I thought it was solid, it was good, and there's a lot of high spots in it and things like that. But if you compare it to other Young Bucks matches on Ring of Honor pay-per-view or PWG or things like that, that it wasn't really at the same level or standard that we're used to seeing their matches, kind of go out with. So I agree. It was not really. My expectations were higher for it also, and it didn't really meet those. And I think that kind of goes into what you were saying about the second half of the show kind of being off a cliff in a sense, in that the TV title match wasn't really all that good, and this match was maybe not as good as people were hoping it would be. And then then you get to the main event, which was Cody and Dalton Castle, and I don't know. I mean, my expectations for it weren't that high. I don't know what yours were going into it, but I don't know. I wasn't really expecting a lot out of this match.
No, I think I've said it before myself. Like, I like Cody Rhodes, the character, but Cody Rhodes to me is not a strong enough professional wrestler to be able to carry these main events. Years past, Jay Briscoe, Jay Lethal, AJ Styles, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole. These are the type of guys that main evented Final Battle, and they put on 20, 25-minute matches, and they were great matches. Cody Rhodes is not that kind of guy. No offense to Cody. He is more of a sports entertainment style professional wrestling outlook, I would say. He's definitely more the entertainer. He's not as there aren't as many layers to him as a wrestler in the ring that there are some of the other guys. And Dalton Castle, he's fine. I think he's a good wrestler, but neither one of these guys are going to blow you out of the water with a 5-star match. And I think that's kind of what you need at Final Battle. I mean, you look at the Final Battles of years past. I mean, you had Steen versus El Generico in the Fight Without Honor. You had Jay Briscoe versus Adam Cole. That was the champion versus champion match? Or was that? No, that was Lethal. Who was Lethal and Briscoe?
Lethal and Briscoe was best in the world in 2015. That was the world title versus TV title match that we went to. I think the Briscoe versus Cole was Briscoe defending against Cole in 2014. 2015 was Lethal against AJ Styles, and then last year was Cole versus O'Reilly. So to your point, a lot of really good to really good workers, obviously, in those matches. And like you said, I do like Cody as well, but his character is more of like a 70s or 80s heel, from like a territorial heel, I guess. And again, Castle is a character that the fans seem to really be into. And not that he has bad matches, because they're good, but not going to get the 5-star classic or whatever you want to call it, I think, from these guys in the main event. And they didn't deliver a bad match, but it wasn't that either. It was kind of probably on par with what we were expecting. And the only thing I guess I would say that I wasn't expecting was a title change, which did happen at the end. So even with a new title belt, and there's also a new champion for ROH.
Yeah, I think at one point throughout the night, we looked at each other and we both kind of, it was before the main event started, and we both kind of had that feeling where Castle was going to win the title. And I mean, Marty Scurll losing to Jay Lethal was strange. You wonder where he's going to go from there as well. And I don't know. To me, Dalton Castle isn't strong enough to carry the Ring of Honor title. I don't know if Cody's character was as a wrestler. I don't know if he is. I mean, and before that, you had Jay Lethal had the title forever, and you had Jay Briscoe who had the title forever. So I would, it'll be interesting to see where I guess the next feud with Dalton Castle goes. But something we didn't talk about, we both kind of glazed over, was the Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer versus the Briscoes match. I was very, very let down by the match. I mean, how high of expectations can you have, really? I mean, the Briscoes did their part to as best they could, but it's no offense to Bully and Dreamer, but I mean, it's 2017. I mean, these guys, I just don't know if they should be featured in a match like that on pay-per-view. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think that, these guys, and, listen, we've been watching, Bully Ray, Bubba Ray, and Tommy Dreamer for over 20 years now, right? Probably with and WWE and TNA and now ROH, and it just seems like these, I don't know what you would call it, right? Like these
novelty acts.
Yeah, like the ECW legend, I guess, type act. Like they've kind of run angles with some of these in different forms with performers from ECW in every promotion, like multiple times. I know TNA has done it more than once. WWE has run it more than once. And now Ring of Honor is kind of doing it with these guys, and it's built around the fact that the event was held in Hammerstein Ballroom, and those guys have performed there a lot. And the angle played out in the ECW arena, right? Like where I think Mark Briscoe officially turned heel, and they brought Dreamer out with Velvet Sky and all that stuff. So the build to it, I thought, was pretty good. I think you had remarked while we were watching it that. Like as they were playing their video to lead into the match, that the bill was pretty good, and the fans seemed like they were into it. And I thought they did a good job with that. But then when you get to the match, it's just kind of the same stuff that you've seen from Bully Ray and these guys for years, right? He enters in through the crowd. They do the spots with the tables and the cheese grater and kendo sticks and whatever else is that they do. And I mean, it was a brawl. I think they could have gone a little bit further with it. Some of the action of
a flaming table spot did not deliver.
Yeah, they didn't do the flaming table spot, even though they were kind of setting up for it, and then anybody for it. But whatever happened at the final spot where the Briscoes were going to give Bully Ray a 3D, and he threw a table, and I don't know, whatever. It didn't really go right, and the table didn't break, so they had to improvise the finish at the end. So. It was what it was. I guess the one good thing coming out of it is that the Briscoes won. I would have been kind of a bummer if they lost the match because, like you mentioned yesterday as well, that their heel turn, I think, has made them much more interesting than they were. Not that they were bad before, but I think that they're much more interesting now as a team and a heel act. So I think they can go a lot of places with that, and I'm glad that they got the win. But yeah, again, it was another match where it was kind of mediocre, I guess, and. From here, I don't know like if they're going to do anything further with Bully Ray or if it's just going to be, but hopefully the Briscoes can get in contention for the tag titles because I feel like they should probably have them right now.
Yeah, I think the Briscoes versus the Motor City is probably for me, that's where the money is. Or if you want, have Jay go back to the title against Dalton Castle. I think that's another option. But get those guys near the tag titles because I think right now they're the best workers they have.
Yeah, I think that would be a smart move on Ring of Honor's part to do that because there's an overall, like you said, with the world title and the level and the quality of matches, you would want that. I think if you're Ring of Honor with all your championships, so to putting the tag titles on the Briscoes is probably the best move for that division, and then improving the work rate, like match in and match out for all the title defenses. I think that would be the wisest move.
And you know what you could do at some point? I would like to see Mark get a singles title, probably closer to the TV title. But I mean, if somebody who's been in Ring of Honor as long as he has, I think he needs to get his just due as well. And I would like to see him have a concentrated effort to get in a program for the TV title at some point.
Yeah, I know they put him in, like they give him title shots here and there, but they never pull the trigger on a victory for him. And he's been around long enough, I think, where you could build him into something and have him take a run with that title for a little while if they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, have him turn completely badass heel like they did, and have Jay have the heavyweight title and Mark had the TV title, I think that would be fantastic. So there you go, Delirious. If you're listening, I mean, we're just tossing out options. I mean, your booking's getting a little stale. I thought you had an opportunity there to bring Jimmy Jacobs back on as a creative guy. Jimmy Jacobs is now, I believe he's at Impact, correct?
Yeah, last I heard, he was in Impact. I saw him doing some announcing, I think. Last I saw Impact, but yeah, he's definitely in Impact last I heard. So,
well, I
kind of
just want Delirious to know that I'm here for him, whatever he needs. You are as well, and we're here. We have some fresh ideas.
We're
Speaking
just
of
here to
fresh
support the
ideas,
team.
yeah, well, this is the team I'm also going to support, and that's the XFL or the United Football League. Is that what Vince is doing right now?
I don't know. Yeah, there was some rumor floating around when I woke up this morning that at the XFL. I looked at the calendar and it was not April Fool's Day, so I'm not really sure what the deal is there with that. If that's a legit thing.
Breaking news! God, I wish I had the drop to play. But he actually registered for a trademark for the United Football League.
Okay,
that's the newest hubbub. So if you were to put the United Football League on tomorrow night with He Hate Me, Rod Smart, instead of Clash of Champions, I'd be more likely to watch for 3 hours. So,
I don't know, man.
I guess without further ado, let's get to our Clash of Champions prediction show. The SmackDown only no, before that, since we're back, we got new people listening on. How many YouTube viewers we got, buddy? 40, 50, 60, 100?
Well, there's a 0 involved with it. I can give you that much.
Nice. So 1,000. I'd like to thank all 1,000 YouTube viewers that are tuning in right now. What's our YouTube address?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here, buddy. Let me take a look at that.
Well, while you look that up, we're at a couple places you could check us out. We're working on our social media here at the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast, and we're starting it right now by going YouTube Live. We're going to have more stuff up now because it's a lot easier to do that. So Twitter and Instagram at All Night Long WP, Facebook.com/All Night Long WP, and on YouTube at...
For this now.
What's that?
I don't know if it has a specific address here. I mean, I'm clicking on it. It just, yeah.
Right, so here's what you do. You go to youtube.com and you type in All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. You're going to see a picture of the two-man smash machine with Red Dragon. You see what I did there? See that?
There you go.
And that's us. So follow us, subscribe, like, do whatever it is you do on YouTube. That's where you can catch our up-to-the-minute live shows like right now. Also, you can find us on the Damage 365 radio network as always. So now that what do they fully call them? Cheap pops?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go for our predictions now.
I'm so ready for this. I can't wait. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about the Clash of the Champions pre-show match, huh? The High Bros explode. Mojo Rawley versus Zack Ryder. Woo woo woo. Mojo all the way. Badass heel. Do something with Mojo Rawley. I got Mojo.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think Mojo would win. Should win this. I don't know. I guess if I'm picking one of these two guys that I would expect them to push, it would be him, just because he's kind of newer and somebody they seem to put a little bit of faith in. So I'm going to say Mojo gets the win over Zack Ryder on the pre-show.
And there was some exchange between Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins on the social media, so you might see a reunion of Hawkins and Ryder, which I think would be pretty cool at this point for their careers.
There you go, little Major Brothers action. That's perfect.
Nice. All right, what else we got? What's next?
So we've got a tag match. We have the Bludgeon Brothers going up against Breezango, aka the Fashion Police.
The Bludgeon Brothers winning probably quickly, and they should.
Yes, I agree. I think that should be the plan. They're a new team, so they're starting to stockpile some wins. Breezango is basically, a comedy act at this point that the fans are into, but they don't seem to be seriously behind pushing them. So I'm going to say the Bludgeon Brothers get a victory there as well.
And to me, Breezango loses nothing by losing this match. So
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go to. Ooh, how many title matches do we have here? One, two, three, four title matches, and then the main event. So let's go to the tag title match. We'll stick with the tag teams. It's the fatal four way match for the tag team championships on SmackDown. The Usos versus the New Day versus Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable versus Rusev and Aiden English.
I was thinking about this one before. I think it should be a pretty good match. I got a weird feeling it's going to be Rusev Day on Sunday, and we're going to get some new tag team champions. I'm all in on Rusev Day. I think Aiden English has been awesome. I think he's been hilarious. Definitely doing more than his fair share, and he's a strong worker in the ring. He was with the Vaudevillains, and they were a good act. But I like what they're doing, and I'm going with the upset here. I'm going with Aiden English and Rusev.
I'm a big fan of Rusev Day as well, so I'd be happy to see them win the tag titles here. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know who's going to win this. I don't know what direction they're going with these tag titles, and in situations like that, I tend to just kind of
they don't know where they're going with the tag titles.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm sure that they don't. So in situations like that, I tend to lean towards the champions retaining. And the Usos have done a nice job with tag titles. They had a lot of good matches with New Day. I also don't know if the Usos are baby faces now or not. I'm not sure if that's happened, but either way, I'm going to go with the Usos retaining the tag titles.
Okay, that's fair.
Next up, let's go with the women's championship match. It's going to be Charlotte defending against Natalya in a lumberjack match for the women's championship.
There's no way that the Riot Squad's not going to get involved. I just don't know how, because it seemed like on SmackDown it was less about Natalya and more about the Riot Squad and Charlotte. So I'm saying Charlotte keeps the title here.
Yeah, I'll say Charlotte keeps the title as well. I think I could see a situation where there's like a DQ finish or whatever, like you said, if the Riot Squad runs in. But I do see Charlotte hanging on to the title. I don't think they're going to switch it back to Natalya. The direction is probably going to be Charlotte against maybe Ruby Riott or somebody else in that faction, in the near term. So I'm going to say Charlotte retains it as well. Next up, we'll go with the championship. It is Baron Corbin versus Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler.
Man, they seem to have a huge vested interest in Baron Corbin, and while I think the smart money is on old Bob Roode, I don't know if they're as behind him as as the fans are. So I think they're going to keep it on Baron Corbin for right now.
Yeah, I think they will as well. I think that. I mean, listen, if it was me and this match was set up, I think it would be a situation where Corbin gets the pin on Ziggler. And I don't know what Ziggler's situation is, if he's on the way out of the promotion or not. And then they could save a Corbin versus Bobby Roode match, maybe for the Royal Rumble, which there maybe Roode will actually have a chance to win it. But I think that Corbin will keep it here and pin Ziggler for the win. So 2 matches left. Let's go with the WWE Championship match. It is AJ Styles defending against former champion Jinder Mahal.
AJ Styles. Jinder's looked good in the promotion leading up to this and everything, and I think everybody's doing their part, but I think AJ's starting to feel like more like a legitimate threat champion that he is, and I think it leaves the belt on him until at least Mania. So I'm saying AJ Styles all the way.
I agree. I think he has to win this. It would be extremely disappointing if Jinder would win the title back, 6 weeks or whatever it's been since AJ won it over in the UK. I think that the Jinder experiment should be over, and AJ should retain it. I think, hopefully he keeps it to the Rumble. To WrestleMania. I don't know who his next feud is going to be. It'll be interesting to see what direction they go with that, but I do think AJ will win this match and keep the championship. And then I'm going with the presumed main event, which is Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And there will be 2 special guest referees. Both Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan are special guest referees, and stipulations on top of stipulations. If Owens and Zayn lose this match, they will be fired from all of WWE. So not just SmackDown, but apparently all of WWE somehow. So those are all the stipulations for the main event of this show. And what do you think? Who do you think wins, and what do you think happens? Because it seems like there's an angle alert here.
Angle alert. I like that terminology. I'll tell you two things that are going to happen. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are going to win, and Shane McMahon is going to turn heel. That's how I look at it. I think it's too obvious to have Daniel Bryan turn and support the other indie guys of Owens and Sami Zayn, and I think we're going to get some sort of chicanery at the end, or there could be some sort of disagreement between Shane and Debray, leads to an inadvertent bump, and then the bad guys get the roll up. But I think we're going to go full on Shane heel turn here.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning as well. I mean, I definitely think that Owens and Zayn are going to win the match. I don't see them going forward with an angle of them losing and leaving the promotion. I think it wouldn't be a bad thing to go that route. I think they could do some cool stuff with them, like showing up in the crowd and like wreaking havoc on SmackDown just in general until like maybe they're forced to hire them back. But I think that they will win this match. My initial reaction as well is that Shane will turn, because that's the unexpected thing. Officially predicting. I did read somewhere, I think it was your friend Larry Zonka, who suggested that maybe Randy Orton would turn heel and cost Shinsuke Nakamura the match, setting off a feud between those two. I hadn't even considered that, but I guess that is a possibility. I didn't really think that just based off how the booking is gone, it seems to be leaning towards either Shane or Debray turning. But
that sounds stupid.
Yeah, I wouldn't really feel too great about another Orton heel turn. He seems like a waste at this point to me. But I'm going to say that Zayn and Owens will win, and I'm going to go with you and say that Shano will turn, and that'll start a little bit of a different dynamic on SmackDown Live in the next few months leading into Mania.
Randy Orton was the best when he was part of the Y family. I thought that was the most intrigued I've been in Randy Orton in God knows how long. I think they pulled the trigger on that whole heel turn thing way too early, but I agree that Randy Orton is just Randy Orton right now. He's had the same character for probably 7 or 8 years, and I think Shane as a heel, Daniel Bryan as a face, maybe leading to Daniel Bryan versus even Shane at Mania. If it gets Daniel Bryan back in the ring, if it gets Daniel Bryan back in the ring at Final Battle next year, I'm also in for that. So I guess keep see what let's see where it takes us.
All right, yeah, I think if they do something like that, I'll say this much, at least for the main event, it has me interested. Like, I am curious to see what happens. I think the match itself will be good anyway, but I am interested to see what happens and what kind of twists will occur and how that impacts the storyline. So I'll give them that much, and that they've piqued my interest in the main event.
I hope nothing happens, and I hope it's they both call it down the middle, clean finish, nothing.
Okay, well, I'll see what happens, buddy. I think that's it should be an interesting show.
I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna wrap up. Speaking of interesting show, this was an interesting show, and it seemed to work out pretty well. I'm glad. I'm glad we got the YouTube live up. I'll be sure to follow us on the YouTube, on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the Facebook at All Night Long WP, and go to YouTube.com. Type in All Night Long Wrestling Podcast, for God's sake, and subscribe. Subscribe to us and find us on the Facebook.
All right, buddy. I guess that's it. So I guess we'll adjourn this podcast, and we'll see how this thing turned out on the old YouTube.
And you know what? Maybe tomorrow night, maybe if I stay awake, I could do a little instant reaction. YouTube Live. Stay tuned.
There you go, buddy. All right, I'm going to play us out here.
All right, we're tapping out this week. The Stallion, the Enforcer, and we're out of here.